Matti. He's a filmmaker and a YouTuber. Check him out, I've linked down below. And he recently made a video talking about some of the issues he has with Davinci Resolve, most of which were around speed, working or editing quickly within Resolve. So let's talk about it. But first, I always have to say this with these types of videos, it's totally 100% not an issue if someone has a different opinion of Resolve or simply doesn't like Resolve. There's no need whatsoever to get defensive or spicy about it. There's loads of things to argue about in this world. Which NLE is better? Probably not one of them, to be honest. So we're all making cool stuff. We're all trying to edit. It doesn't matter how you get there. Just make cool stuff. So this video is not in defense of Davinci Resolve. Instead, I'm just going to take this opportunity to keep it positive and to try and show you some stuff that might just help you out and speed up your workflow. Now, some of the stuff in this one is a little bit hidden, so it can go unnoticed unless you are an absolute nerd like I am that goes digging around for these sorts of things. A lot of these I've covered individually before, but this is all together in one big video. So let's go. And we're going to start off with project setting template. You probably all know the first thing you should do when you're setting up a new project within Davinci Resolve is click on the little cog in the bottom right hand corner to open up your project settings. From here you can set all of your master settings, color management, general options, all that sort of fun stuff. Once you've set everything that you need, click on these three little dots in the top right hand corner, and then there is an option to save the current settings as a preset. Give it a name. I'm going to call this one whatever, Alex24, and then click on OK. And then whenever you open up a project, you simply click on the three little dots. You'll see that template listed. You can then load the preset and it'll just pull all of your settings into this project. Next up, Resolve bin template. This one isn't actually an official way of doing things within Davinci Resolve, but it's mega. It can save you loads of time, and in my opinion, it's the one template to rule them all. So I don't currently have Davinci Resolve open. I have this DRB folder on my desktop. I'm going to double click and Davinci Resolve is going to open in a jiffy. Once open, it's going to open a brand new project. You can see it's called Untitled Project. And in the media pool, we have a bunch of folders. Automatically, we haven't done anything. They're just there. So I've got my audio folder with music and sound effects. I've got effects with the top effects that I use, and I have timelines. I can open up my main timeline, and as you can see, we have a timeline. We've got all of our different audio tracks, and if I click on my voiceover, goes to the inspector, I've got my dialogue processor and all my other stuff already set up and ready to go. You can even have effects, you can have clips, intros, color grades, whatever, set up on that timeline. So as soon as you open it, it's all there ready to go. And you just drop your files in and start editing. It's a really great way to start a project. Again, you can have multiple different ones set up. So you just double click, it opens everything, it's all ready to go, and then you just start editing. Now, as mentioned, they're easy to create. All you need to do, open up a brand new empty project, and then within the media pool, you want to right click and you want to create a new bin. Give this a name. I'm just going to call this demo. And then within that bin, you can create additional bins or additional folders, which you can then drop clips or music or sound effects into. If I had one called audio, for example. Quick tip, you need to make sure that you actually put something within each of these folders. You can't just have an empty folder structure because that doesn't quite work. But then if we also create a new timeline, we can set the resolution and the frame rate as required. We can have different frame rates within the same projects, remember? So we just hit create. And then from this timeline, we can put adjustment clips on here, which we could then put a color grade on. We can change all of our audio tracks. If I click on the actual track in the inspector, I can just lower or increase this volume. I can go to my audio effects and then I can drop my audio effects directly onto that track and then do all of the required tweaking on the edit page rather than jumping into the Fairlight page. You do all that sort of stuff to get everything working as you want it. Then when you're ready, you simply find that bin that you created within the media pool. Mine's called demo. Right click, and then we're going to click export bin. It's going to ask us where we want to save it. So I'm just going to go with my desktop, hit save, and that's it. Now, if I close Davinci Resolve, I've got this demo 11.drb, double click, Resolve will open, brand new project. I've got my demo folder with my timeline. It's got the adjustment clip on there. It's got all of my audio effects already on the tracks. I can then simply hit Control and S to save this project, and that will save a brand new project and won't overwrite that template file. You can move the template file wherever you want, and it's always good to go. Winner. Now, Matti specifically mentioned saving audio presets, and you can do that too. I personally just use that bin template because it has everything that I need, but if that's not for you, there are some options to saving audio templates as well, so let's have a look at that. So there's two ways I want to show you, either individually saving presets and saving basically all of your audio effects in one big go. So I'm on the edit page at the moment. You can do this in Fairlight, but I like to do it here just because it's a little bit quicker. And let's say that I grab noise reduction. I'm going to pop that on my audio 1 track, which I'd probably rename to be voiceover, whatever, if I was going to do this properly. And then I've got my noise reduction controls. So let's say we mess with this, we get this exactly as we want it. Then simply click the little plus in the top left-hand corner, and this will add a preset. So I'm going to call this Alex Studio, and then click OK. Sorted. Now we can just close that down. Let me go to the inspector. Let's just delete all of these. Now, any other project I open within this database, I go to my noise reduction, I drop it on my audio 1 track, it opens up, we click the little drop down at the top, we now have Alex Studio, and it will just load up all of those settings for me. And again, you can build up as many as you like, and then you just drop the different effects you need, choose the template. Bob's your uncle. Happy days. So what about if you want to save all of the different effects, all of the different tracks, any equalizing that you've been doing, and volume? You can do that too. So let's do this a little bit more properly. Let's change this to be voice, and let's say this one is going to be music. Spelled wrong, don't care. Going to give it a click in the inspector. We'll lower the volume. You could also just click on mixer to open up the mixer down here, and again you can just set all of your audio levels directly from the edit page. And let's just grab reverb and put it on the music for no real reason, just because it gives us something like this. So we want to save all of that work we've just done. Hop onto the Fairlight page, the little musical note in the bottom, and then simply go to Fairlight at the top, and there's something called a preset library. And this presets library will appear. And we've got some options. If we want to save equalizer presets, we can. Dynamics, plugins, global, global bus, and Fairlight configuration. If we click on Fairlight configuration, we then click save at the bottom, give this a name, Alex Studio Full, and then click on OK. Boom, Alex Studio Full. Now let's open a brand new project. Let's just jump over to the Fairlight page. We'll go to Fairlight, Presets Library, Fairlight Configuration, Alex Studio Full, Apply. Boom, straight away we've got our noise reduction, we've got any levels, we've got our volume, everything that you could do within the audio side of things, aka Fairlight, will now be applied. Easy peasy, job done. And there's one last secret little thing that you can do with these once you've created a configuration preset. If I now create a new timeline just within the edit page, timelines, create new timeline, there is now an option to use a Fairlight preset. So if I give that a tick, all of my Fairlight presets will appear. Of course, I only currently have the one. We'll select that and then create. And then I don't even need to jump onto the Fairlight page. I've already got my voice, I've got my music, and if I go to the inspector, I've got my noise reduction within there, and I've got my reverb within there. So every time you create a new timeline, you can pull through all of those Fairlight settings. You can also get hold of that file. It's hidden somewhere. If anyone wants to know, let me know down below. You could send that to someone else. They could import it. You could even sell it if that's what you were trying to do. So there you go. Audio templates. I've lost my place. What am I doing now? Oh yeah. Right, next up, I remember we're importing bins, aka folders. This is really quick, easy, can save you time, and it's just generally good practice. So check it out. I've got a folder here called Darren, and within there we've got B-cam, B-roll, main cam, and screen grab. If we open one of those, we have a media within. So rather than having to recreate these manually, what we can do, just grab this folder, drag it over here into Davinci Resolve, and you want to release it over here on the far left under master, not in the actual bin here, but right on the left. And then straight away, Darren, the folder will be imported. We have the bins or the folders within there, and then all of the media within those folders. Saves you having to do it manually, saves you loads of time. Now, quick mention, those folders aren't directly linked to the folders on your hard drive. So if you change the names or whatever, it will break the link in Davinci Resolve. All we're essentially doing is importing all that stuff with the same structure, but they're not actually linked. So just bear that in mind. Sticking with bins and this sort of thing, we're going to talk about power bins. I've talked about power bins quite a lot. I've actually made a video about it in the past. Linked, I don't know, somewhere on screen right now. So go over and watch that if you've never heard of power bins. But a real quick demonstration. Within the media pool, here are my power bins. If you don't see power bins, you click on these little 3 dots above your media pool, and there's an option to show power bins. Just give that a tick and power bins will appear. Now, power bins are bins or folders which are shared amongst all of your projects. So if I open that up, I have one called audio, and within there, I've got all of my music and sound effects. So I don't actually need to import this into all of my projects. They're all just there, ready to go. To add anything to your power bin, you simply find it within your regular bin, and then you can just drag it into a power bin, and now it's there. And now every time I open a project, power bins are there with all of the stuff within them. Again, if you move the file around on your hard drive, yes, it will break that link. So just bear that in mind. Next up, something else which can help you work really quick, really quick within Davinci Resolve is something called the source tape. Source tape is awesome. It sits on the cut page. So again, easily missed. Let's take a look. So if we hop over to the cut page, this one down here, and then you can see we have our media pool here. Let me just go back to the master. We're going to open one of these Darren bins, and let's open the B-roll bin. This is another example of why staying organized and having bins is incredibly useful. So over here, we have our preview window, and at the top left, we have these 3 little icons. The middle one is something called source tape. If we give it a click, what it will do is put all of the footage from the currently open bin into one single mini timeline. So you can scroll through all of your footage in one big go and then simply pick out the bits that you want. So if I hit I on my keyboard and O, I can mark that section. And then if you like to use a keyboard and mouse, we can just click and drag to add this to my timeline. We can just go through, picking bits out. You can go over multiple clips, drag, add to your timeline, and really quickly build up your timeline. If you then end up clicking on your actual timeline to make any changes, simply hit the Q key on your keyboard to jump directly back to your source tape, and then you can continue from where you were. Alternatively, you can use your I's and O's, and then use your F, 9, 10, 11, 12, all that sort of stuff to build it up that way instead. Source tape is incredible, especially if you're doing anything sort of chronologically. You can just dump it all in one big go, mark all the ins and outs, dropping everything on the timeline. You can build up your timeline, build up your timeline really quickly. Yes, it does only exist on the cut page. Yes, we'd love to see it on the edit page. Blackmagic, if you end up watching this, can we have it on the edit page, please? Thanks. Now, sticking with the cut page, I don't have anything else specifically to talk about in regards to the cut page other than try it. Some people just hate the cut page and they never go in and they never play with it because they think it's stupid. I understand that. It does get a lot of hate. Some of it is valid, but they are improving it. It's getting much better. And if you feel that you're a little bit slow, especially at cutting all of the stuff together, try the cut page. It can be a really quick, really efficient way of just laying everything down and getting you started. No guarantees. You might hate it. And if you do, it's not my fault. But, you know, give it a go and see how you get on with it. Next up, color grading. Color grading. Matti had some issues with color grading quickly within Davinci Resolve. Now, the color page, it is massive. There's loads of scope within there. That's not meant to be a scopes pun, but it could be a scope. Anyway, there's loads of scope to do stuff within there, so it is naturally kind of complicated and a bit of a pain to work with. I'm not the best colorist, and I can get quite lazy, so I'm always looking for quick ways to skimp on color grading, and I have a few, so let's have a look. And the first one, if we go to Effects, grab an adjustment clip, put it on top of everything else, like so, make this a little bit longer. We can do all of the color grading if we wanted to on this adjustment clip. You can just stretch it all the way across your timeline, jump onto the color page, make sure you have that adjustment clip selected, and then, you know, you can do all of your grading and it will simply affect everything underneath. So you can do that way if you wish. I'm going to get rid of that. Another way that you can really quickly do some sort of bulk grading across everything on your timeline, if you jump over to the color page, right here above your nodes, if you don't see your nodes, click on nodes like so. There's a simple drop down that says clip. If we change that to timeline, we get this little node tree, and this will be everything on the timeline. We're actually grading the timeline itself. So I'm just going to hit Alt and S to add a corrector node, and then, you know, we can come and again change whatever we want. And this is applying to the entire timeline rather than the individual clips on the timeline. Now, what I tend to do, as you can see from my timeline, is I mark things with colors. So anything that's a talking head, I mark in orange. So as I'm actually cutting this together, I just mark all the talking head sections as orange. Then when I jump into the color page, rather than having this giant mess of everything, if we come up to clips at the top left, there's a little drop down, come down to clip color, orange, and now it's only going to show us all of the clips which are marked as orange within my clips area here. Then I can simply give the one a click, do any of the grading that I want, select as many as I like then for my clips, right click on the one with the grade and go to apply grade, and it will just copy that grade to everything we had selected. You can also group all of your clips, which is super handy. I'm not going to go into groups right now, but just search for groups. I'll make sure to link some videos down in the description below as well for you to have a little look at. But there are some other handy things you can do too. For one, if you've set a grade that you like, and again, you just want to have easy access to it, simply right click within the preview window and go to grab still. That will save a still over here in your gallery. If you don't see gallery, click on gallery and that will appear. Now this still isn't just a still image, it actually contains the grade. So if we go to this clip, let's just remove everything from there, and then we right click on this still within the gallery and apply the grade, and it will just copy that straight into our nodes like so. There's also a thing called power grade. This is very similar to power bins. These are stills which are available in every single project. So again, you just open up the power grade, we'll grab a still. It sits within my power grade, so any project that I open, I have access to this grade, and off we go. Now, the last thing I want to show you on the color page, what if you haven't done any of the colors or the groups or the timeline, and you've got a big, almost complete timeline like I have, but you want to have access to just one of the tracks to do some color grading? Well, you can do that too, and again, it's not particularly obvious, but it's really easy. So as you can see, I have the timeline here. If you don't see this little mini timeline, you just click on timeline at the very top and that will appear. And let's pretend that I hadn't already marked all of my talking head shots in orange. I've got all of these additional tracks here, which are full of like titles and adjustment clips. And within the clips, you can see it includes all of those. But what you can do, at the left of your timeline, you've got these V numbers. If you simply click on them just the once, you can actually just turn them off. Now, in my instance, that doesn't just include talking head because I've got some other stuff on there. But in theory, if V1 was just your A roll, just your talking head, you've deactivated everything else, and then you can come and do all of your grades like so. Just remember to toggle them all back on before you export, otherwise they won't be included. There you go. Now, I appreciate this is a much longer video than I originally intended, even though I'm talking quite quick. But I've got some last things to show you over on the deliver page. So first things first, you can save, deliver, export presets. So if you come over to the left, go to custom export, or you can even start from one of the default exports, change whatever you want. So let's just change that to 1080p, for example. Then click on the three little dots, save as new preset. We'll call this Alex, click on OK. And at the very far left now, we have a preset called Alex, which again will be available to us whenever we come to the deliver page. We can have as many of those as we like. You get a little drop down arrow and you can just pick and choose as you need to. Now, something else which is obvious again, but kind of easy to miss. If I add that to the render queue, it pops up over here. And then let's say I also want a 4K version. Change that to 4K, just change the title, 4K. I can then add that to the render queue as well. So now we've got a 1080p one and a 4K one. If we either make sure none of them are selected, we have the option to render all, or we can simply click and highlight and it will say render all. We give that a click and it will churn both of them out. If you want access to everything within the render queue from all projects, click on the three little dots, show all projects, and this will show you all the jobs which are ready to be exported from all of your projects within the database. Super useful if you just want to edit loads of stuff and then churn it all out in one big go. Talking of churning things out in one big go, you can also do sections of your timeline. So let's say I wanted to render out this entire video because it's going up on YouTube, but I also wanted to render out a 60-second portion. If we come to this little timeline down here, we can use the I and the O keys once again to mark ins and outs. Just select this section here. We'll give this a name, call it short, add to the render queue, and now this render is only going to be this section we've marked on the timeline. Super useful for rendering out specific clips. Now to get rid of that, just hit Alt and X on your keyboard or Option and X, and you will clear those in and out ranges. It's really warm and really sweaty. But there you go. There's a random selection of little tips and tricks to do things just a little bit quicker within Davinci Resolve. If you found this video useful, let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you next time. Bye.